Hey guys, it's still kind of mid-January 2024. I've done one video so far this year. Here's my second. I'm starting with the Amazon website and a book. Came out August, by now 2022, right? And we had Alec on the Trim Tab Book Club. I think Bonnie interviewed him, Lionel interviewed him. So that was a big buzz of 2022, a new biography of Bucky Fuller's. And if you scroll down, 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 I didn't realize when I did this that by adding my own face to a review as an included image, it would give me a whole section to myself almost. So like I'm above top reviews from the United States because I believe it's reviews with images and they get their own sort of space. So that's cool that I'm here, but so then what happens? Do you click on my face? Well, yes, you do, lo and behold. And so it takes its sweet time to pull up. What I'm going to talk about, back to graph theory, is how, okay, Amazon, is this really how you're going to be? I'm going to talk about faces I can add when I expand my graph theory slideshow. Right here we're looking at, on the far left, that's Werner Erhard, a young version with an old Bucky, and then Kaufman and Nietzsche. Bucky Fuller, I should say. Bucky is his nickname. Richard Buckminster Fuller. This channel really goes deeply into his magnum opus, which is called synergetics. Okay, Amazon, have you done anything? No, let's try that again. Are you shadow banning me? Are you messing with me here? Where's my bio? Where's my review? Okay, let's just try reloading the page. Scrolling down again. Bummer, man. I do have screenshots of it, though, so it doesn't have to go away. Let's try one more time. Reviews with images. And there we go this time. So great story. It's like a Michelin guide to the 1900s, blah, blah. And further down, I say of Alec's work, he updates our picture with more recent information, including Fuller's relationship with Werner Erhard, for example, and the jealousy this inspired in competing circles. So that's kind of insider talk because what? Who? Like Werner Erhard's kind of obscure to a lot of people, and what would be the competing circles I refer to? In a sense, if you read Alec's book, you'll see I'm referring to the L. Ron Hubbard group, so the Scientology group. They weren't too thrilled because they sort of felt competitive with Erhard's organization. There was some bad blood, you could say. I don't know, I probably know. It's more, we can get more documentaries out of this than I've been able to do. I'm not devoting my life to that topic, but it's an interesting one, and I wouldn't mind. What I've done is, I guess you could say, cherry-picked. So one reason I liked Alec's biography of synergetics, by the way, Synergio is another online archive that's not behind any kind of firewall. I think you can just come here and read the messages. I'm under that impression. And I store a lot of things of historical interest here precisely because it's a public archive. This is a picture of Sam Lanahan at the Lattice Gallery. I realized I've kind of changed subjects here, but we're still talking about my slideshow. And I'll scroll back to where Sam Lanahan shows up. There he is, a younger version of Sam Lanahan. Here he is in the Synergio group in his pop-up gallery in downtown Portland on West Broadway. And there's a metallic version of C60. So this is the kind of thing that I share in Synergio, and it's not like I know everybody here very well. Like, I don't know who Ribo is, and I don't understand his posts and so on, but it's not necessary. It's like a file cabinet that we all have access to. So in terms of this particular slideshow, I'll probably add Maurice Nicoll. Now, why? Because he's channeling, and I don't mean that in any spooky way, he's like a scholar of, a student of, an admirer of. So in that sense, channeling a dude named P.D. Ouspensky. And I was first introduced to him by a guy named Gary Nackinson at Princeton. Like, I wasn't at Princeton to study anything in particular when I first got there. I was told as a freshman, liberal arts, just, look at the survey, the whole scene, and then start making your commitments. And I was starting to do that. But Ouspensky wasn't really one of them. But I became aware at that point. And then much later, coming across Maurice Nicoll's stuff, who channels Ouspensky, who goes back and turned to Gurdjieff, I realized that this, even though it's not a branch that I grew up with or was specifically interested in, the 1900s were helpfully shaped by these figures. Maurice Nicoll, who draws from both Carl Jung and the Ouspensky tradition come together there. And I'd say in terms of Buckminster Fuller's philosophy, and I'll wind this up here shortly, in terms of Buckminster Fuller's philosophy, where that comes through is his focus on robotic or reflex conditioned aspects of thinking and behavior. That we are, in a sense, bots a lot and have to be. You can't think it through at every juncture. So our botness, and this how this links to AI and so forth, but our botness is something that Fuller, I would say, I don't know if I'd say he's polemic about. Yeah, I'd say he's polemic. Because in Fuller's language, if you totally lose touch with mind and you're just brain, and he makes a distinction, it's not really spooky. It's more like how to tease apart concepts so that you can think more productively. And for Bucky Fuller, mind and brain are separate issues, separate things. And if the brain loses touch with the mind, we somewhat lose our humanity. Now, in Earhart's philosophy, it was more mind and being instead of brain and mind, but very similar in terms of how they parsed experience. Like, their philosophies were pretty close together. There's kind of what is it when you superimpose Mourier patterns between the two, which fascinated me at the time. Like, I came up sort of through the Est path out of Princeton philosophy department, Walter Kaufman. He was kind of interested in that stuff. I also want to add D.W. Jacobs to a slide. He's had an interest in Walter Kaufman as well. It's like all these people linked together. I just have to start working on my picture of the Fuller Network. It's called that in my own mind because it's kind of people I would not have met had I not taken up an interest in Fuller and his friends, including Applewhite and these people. So what else? I think that's a good follow-on to my opening video. Maurice Nicoll, he's, like I say, Jungian, and he's into what he calls the work. And it's like an inner discipline. If you find yourself waking up every morning, axe grinding an axe, really bitter, blaming somebody in particular, it's like your whole life is about feeling vengeful and bitter and all this, then that's what Maurice would consider the work. You got a lot of work to do. Because his idea is if we can detach, those of us who are lucky enough to be able to detach in the way he coaches, don't run our lives out of those kind of, I don't know. It's like a cleaner and better burning mental diet to not have all that negative emotion, as Maurice calls it. So he's kind of a gym coach. Here's my blank slide. This is where I'm going to put Maurice Nicoll and probably Ouspensky maybe. I mean, he's no direct influence on me, direct. Through Maurice, yes. I never met either one, though. But this whole slideshow is not necessarily about me. I throw myself in there. Like, I'm part of the picture. In my own mind, I network with all this stuff. but I'm willing to admit distance, right, between myself and some of these key players. Like, I'm not insisting I met them all. I certainly met all the people on this slide. Anyway, that's where I'm headed. I'm going through 2024, thinking about adding more heads to my graph theory slideshow. So that's a work in progress. All right, we'll talk again. Oh, and what's happening out in the world? People are bombing the crap out of each other. It's kind of a low point. Like during H.W. Bush administration, it was all about he wanted to be education president and stuff like that. It's like the level of dialogue which was much higher. And I think maybe Marshall McLuhan was right in that in making everything television, we're both speeding up our thinking, but we're also, in a way, losing touch with our ability to think in quite so rational a manner as we used to with writing. So the unconscious is somewhat taking over a lot with television. And by television, I mean all social media, television, all that stuff, like YouTube. So, yeah, human consciousness is shifting around a lot, and the jury's still out, right? If we're going to be able to make it over this hump, but I think so. I think we will. Maybe resurrect globalism as not so stupid, like internationalism is close to globalism, and now there's nationalism, resurgence of that. So let's talk about all those things. Nationalism, internationalism, and globalism. What are those isms? I think there's a lot of room to throw them into the fray and do more interesting things than we do with those. Like, it's not all about George Soros or something. I don't know anything about George Soros to speak of. Not true. Watched a bio or two. I'm interested in him, but globalism can't be synonymous with any particular name or school of thought or Davos or anything like that, right? Globalism is acting locally, thinking globally. That was a really interesting way of putting it. All right, talk to you later.